It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down beside you because you promised yourself you wouldn't check it. Your mind is racing through tomorrow's meeting, an argument from last week, a bill you forgot to pay. You feel broken. You feel like your brain is malfunctioning, but it isn't. You've been taught that a full night of sleep should look like a single unbroken block of 8 hours. Lights off, eyes closed, nothing until morning. If you wake up in the middle of the night, something is wrong with you. That's the story you've absorbed your whole life, but the real answer is far stranger. For most of human history, waking up in the middle of the night wasn't a disorder. It was the plan. Picture a small group of your ancestors thousands of years ago lying around a dying fire. No electric light, no screens, just darkness pressing in from every direction. When the sun went down, there wasn't much left to do. So they slept, but not all at once, and not in one long stretch. Historian Roger Ekirch spent over a decade combing through diaries, court records, and medical texts from before the Industrial Revolution. What he found changed how scientists think about sleep entirely. Ekirch discovered hundreds of references to something called first sleep and second sleep. People would go to bed a couple of hours after dusk. They'd sleep for 3 or 4 hours. Then they'd wake up. Not in a panic, not checking a clock, because most of them didn't have one. They'd simply wake up naturally, in the dead of night, and stay awake for an hour or two before drifting into a second block of sleep until dawn. What did they do during that gap? This is where it gets interesting. They prayed, they talked quietly with a partner, they tended the fire. Some visited neighbors, some had sex. Some just lay there in the dark, thinking, letting their mind wander without judging it. This waking period even had its own name in old texts. It was considered a normal, expected part of the night, as ordinary as breakfast. Now here's the question. If humans were built to sleep in 2 segments, why does almost nobody sleep that way today? The answer starts with a single invention: artificial light. Before gas lamps and electric bulbs, night was night. Truly dark, truly quiet, truly empty of stimulation. Your ancestors' brains had nothing to do after sunset except wind down. There was no scrolling, no blue light, no reason to stay alert. Darkness was a signal, and the body obeyed it completely. Then came the candle, the oil lamp, and eventually the light bulb, and everything shifted. Suddenly, night could be pushed back. People stayed up later. The 2 sleep blocks got squeezed into one shorter, more condensed period. Segmented sleep didn't disappear because it was wrong. It disappeared because the environment that produced it disappeared first. But this isn't just a story about candles and light bulbs. It goes much deeper, into your biology itself. Neuroscientist Jerome Siegel at UCLA wanted to know if segmented sleep was really a cultural habit or something more fundamental. So he studied 3 groups of people living without electricity today: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia. These are some of the last populations on Earth still living close to how humans lived for most of history. Siegel and his team tracked their sleep for weeks using small monitoring devices. What did he find? None of these groups slept in one continuous block either. Their sleep was fragmented, shifting with temperature and darkness, often with brief wakeful periods scattered through the night. And notably, they didn't report insomnia. The concept barely existed for them. Waking in the night wasn't something to fear. It was just night doing what night does. So if your body wakes at 3 a.m., it might not be failing. It might be remembering something older than modern life. Something coded into you long before clocks existed. There's another piece to this puzzle, and it lives inside your own skull. Your brain runs on something called a circadian rhythm, a roughly 24-hour internal clock regulated by a tiny cluster of cells behind your eyes. This clock doesn't actually care about a single word: bedtime. It cares about light and darkness. For nearly all of human evolution, darkness meant one long stretch of night with nothing to interrupt it except the moon. Maybe a fire, maybe a predator's call in the distance. Chronobiologist Till Roenneberg has spent years studying how modern light exposure has pushed human sleep further and further from its natural rhythm. His research on what he calls social jet lag shows that most people today are chronically out of sync with their own biological clock, forced awake by alarms instead of waking naturally. Your ancestors didn't have alarms. They had sunrise and a body that already knew what to do with it. Here's the counterintuitive twist. The 3 a.m. wake-up you dread might actually be a leftover feature, not a bug. Some sleep researchers now suggest that period of quiet wakefulness once served a purpose. It gave the ancient brain a window to process the day, to sit with worry in a low-stakes, half-awake state without the pressure of needing to solve anything immediately. Some anthropologists have even proposed that this nighttime gap functioned almost like built-in therapy, a quiet hour to simply be with your own thoughts before returning to sleep. Compare that to how you experience it now. You wake up at 3 a.m. and immediately your mind treats it as an emergency. You check the time. You do math about how many hours you have left. You reach for your phone, and suddenly your brain is flooded with blue light and notifications precisely when it should be settling back down. Your ancestors woke up into darkness and stillness. You wake up into a spotlight. This is the modern mirror. The night hasn't changed. Your biology hasn't changed much either. What changed is what surrounds you the moment you open your eyes in the dark. A candlelit room invites your mind to drift. A phone screen invites it to spiral. So the next time you wake at 3 a.m., consider a different response. Instead of treating it as failure, treat it the way your ancestors did, as an expected pause built into the architecture of the night. Leave the phone alone. Let your eyes stay adjusted to the dark. Let your thoughts move slowly, without urgency, the way a low fire moves without demanding attention. You are not sick. You are not broken. You are running a very old program in a very new environment, and the program still works exactly as it was designed to, if you let it. It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling, but this time you know exactly what's happening. You're not malfunctioning. You're simply awake between two sleeps, just like every human who came before the light bulb, just like every human who ever watched a fire burn low and waited quietly for the second half of the night to begin.